Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the video. So the major market volatility continued this week, and in this video I'm going over what we can expect next week from the market, if we expect this volatility to continue, and if we expect further upside or possible downside to come once again. As always, we'll be going over some trade ideas as well. There are timestamps in the description. Let's go ahead and get into it. So last week I went over how I thought the market was very close to the final capitulation and at least the short-term bottom, and if there was another gap down on Monday, that was a high conviction buy point. And that call worked out very nicely, with Monday marking the bottom and giving us a great move back up, including a 10% plus upside move on Wednesday, an absolute insane swing. So into next week, I wish I could tell you guys that I have a strong opinion on where things are going like last week, though instead of that, I have pretty low conviction on where things are headed in the week ahead. Personally, I think it is best to be patient and back to a more cautious approach into the next week or two with a slight upside lean. So taking a look at SPY for key levels, since the market has been all over the place, and this gives the cleanest visual, into next week, the biggest support levels to watch to keep immediate upside in play are at 530 and then 524 to 525. So 524 to 525 was the top of the trading range from Friday through Tuesday and is what triggered the larger move on Wednesday's break above it. And 530 is where it consolidated below on Thursday into Friday morning and triggered that upside move Friday once it broke above. As long as these levels hold, I would have an upside lean into next week. If it breaks and holds back below 524, it can open downside back towards 510, which I would now consider a must-hold level, as that is now the established higher low. If it breaks below there, it opens potential to revisit those previous lows. So the next key levels that I'd be watching on the upside are at 536.87, which is a gap fill and got respected on Friday, then 540, and then 546.4 to 548, which includes Wednesday's high, and above there can open further upside towards the 554.8 gap fill, and then 560 to 562 above there. My very loose lean into next week would be continued upside first, and I think it's pretty likely to at least sweep that high from Wednesday. So something like this playing out, and then the market's reaction from there will be key. Overall, I think there are so many fundamental and political questions on what may happen from here. It's going to be a very messy trading environment for a while, and I don't think it is as simple as the bottom is in and we're going straight back to highs, though new bull markets are started out of fear and uncertainty, so we will see if that may be the case this time around. There will likely be more fear and volatility moving forward, though unless those major supports on the downside break, I would have that slight upside lean into next week. Some scenarios to consider include something like this playing out for the bear case, or something like this playing out for the bull case. Alright, so now taking a look at some individual charts and trade ideas, starting out with Apple. So last week we went over the major 196 to 200 pivot zone and talked about how even in a bear case scenario, a zone as major as this would be likely to at least get back tested as new resistance, and of course it is here testing now. I think this will be a very important chart to watch for the overall market in the week ahead. Since Apple is heavily dependent on China and one of the biggest tariff losers, this chart is going to tell us how optimistic that the market is on a deal getting done with the US and China. Break and hold above 200 and the deal probably looks likely, and the market is looking good for further upside. Though as long as it's testing or below the 196 to 200 zone, there is high risk that this is just a simple backtest as new resistance. China optimism probably isn't great, and it could head back down at a moment's notice. Apple isn't a stock that I'm interested in buying personally, just one that will be very important for the market and trend moving forward. And Robinhood, ticker symbol HOOD, is a stock that I've been talking about for weeks now, has a higher conviction longer term play to accumulate on dips, and it is looking great after this past week. It continues to show major relative strength on up days, and on Friday it broke above the key trendline resistance. So that trendline will now be at about 41 to 41.5 now, so it's key to hold on any backtest. Above there, 43.35 to 43.85 is another key pivot zone to watch, and then 45.91, the 50-day moving average, and $50 per share would be the key levels next above there. And AMD is another top watch for me in the week ahead, as it's been heavily beat down and showed nice recovery strength on Wednesday and Friday. So the major resistance to watch is at 93 to 95.5, which is a key long-term zone and the bottom of the previous trading range, also the previous breakdown trigger. If it's able to reclaim and hold back above this zone, the bottom is likely in for the stock. So if it's able to reclaim above 95, that would open upside towards 101.8, the 50-day moving average, which is currently at about 104, and then 104.85 to 106.8 as the next key resistance and larger upside trigger above there. If it doesn't reclaim back above 93 to 95.5, this would still be one to stay cautious on, as semiconductors as a whole have been insanely volatile. So that is everything I'm watching for in the week ahead. After last week's high conviction call, I'd have much lower conviction on what may play out in the market this week, so I would stay cautious and patient more than anything to see how things play out. Thank you guys for watching. If anybody interested in joining the private Discord chat, That is the first link down in the description to get my personal trade alerts, nightly watch lists, and answer any questions you guys have in there. Good luck trading the week ahead, and I will catch you all next time, and peace out.